Welcome to the WUUA TIB podcast. This is today's free episode. There is also a bonus episode that went up exclusively on our Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/WUUATIB or simply go to WUUATIB.com. That's WUUATIB.com. Thank you and enjoy. All right, welcome to WUUA TIB, episode number 8. I believe.
It's already 8. Wow.
Yeah, and 7 is the 2 parts because we had the split podcast. But I don't know, 8 or 9.
I'm pretty sure, even though I believe it's episode 8. However, we have been very inconsistent about uploading things. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was episode 6 or 7. Or
well,
even
and
9 or 10.
I've I've uploaded them all, but every other one is like a Patreon. So technically, this is probably the 4th or 5th public episode.
And right. The other ones maybe we should, name the public ones.
No, because then people gotta feel like they're missing out. You know what I mean?
Something.
They gotta be like, "Where's number 4? I only saw 3 and 5."
All right,
and then they're like, "Damn, I gotta be a patron to get that sweet number 4." So,
all right, why don't you continue?
Yeah, I got some things planned, and the first thing that I just put together that I thought we could do quickly in the beginning was a worst T-shirt sayings, and just I don't know, the reason I thought of that is because I just thought of, back in the day when your mom would buy you shirts at Kmart or whatever, and they would say
oh, I have a great one.
Yeah, I know we all have something like that. So I think whoever can come up with the worst one is...
Mine's the best because I made it.
What is it?
All right, no, you two do it first.
Okay, well, I had one in mind. The one I thought of, I don't know if this is real or not, but I feel like it probably is I can't hear you. I'm too busy being awesome. And I felt like that. There's 100% a Target shirt that says that shit on it. I guarantee it.
So instantly came to my mind are the extremely 90s Big Johnson t-shirts.
Extremely 90s Big Johnson t-shirt.
Yeah. So in the 90s, there was this whole series of t-shirts that had things like, here's an example, Johnson fishing rods. It's easy to reel them in when you've got a Big Johnson.
Oh my God.
And there's a picture of a guy with a bunch of babes on a boat.
That's
how can you buy that unironically? You must be the biggest douchebag if you buy things like those unironically.
No, you're just some 78-year-old white guy. That's the 2 genres of terrible t-shirt sayings in stores like Target is the shirts for grandpa and then the shirts for, little Mikey. Or
yeah, but that's something grandpas would wear. I agree. However, at the same time, I've never seen a single grandpa wear a t-shirt. You know what I mean?
You've never seen a grandpa wear a t-shirt?
Yes, they always wear something
You've been to Florida.
Sweater or something like that. They're always cold. Maybe some kind of those baggy jackets that doesn't fit and it's twice their size.
My grandpa only wore wife beaters.
Exactly. Some grandpas wear wife beaters, and some grandpas beat their wives. Is this gonna get cut?
Is there a correlation?
I don't know.
Actually, I wonder.
Wife beaters for some reason.
I mean, where did that term even come from? For it had to just be a stereotype of people who wore them, right?
Well, it came from A Streetcar Named Desire.
Is that a movie?
No, it's a stage play.
Oh.
And I guess in that, like, the character who beats his wife wears that shirt.
Ooh.
At least that's what I've heard.
I like how you had an answer for that.
Yeah.
That's like one of those things where I've like thought about exactly that before, and I think I've looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Eggs and I were talking yesterday about Adam's apple, and we were trying to figure out the origin of Adam's apple, and I looked it up, and it basically nobody knows. There were two answers, both of which seemed really bad. There was one that said there was some tradition that when Adam ate the apple in the garden, like a piece of it was embedded in his throat, but there was no historical support for that at all. And then the second one was some convoluted explanation about how, like, the Hebrew was mistranslated 20 times in a row, and then they ended up with Adam's apple, which
I feel
also
like it's
didn't
one of
make any
those things-
sense.
Wait, was it? How old is it? The saying, do you know?
I don't know. It didn't really say.
Imagine just like one random dude saying, "Yeah, that's Adam's apple," and
Yeah.
it's caught on.
I mean, a lot of stuff does actually go like that. You know, like one person says it, and then a bunch of people like think it's cool and start, you know.
Yeah, starting your own catchphrase. That's always in like coming of age
Apparently-
movies.
Mm-hmm.
People who want to start their own catchphrase. are
Apparently,
like,
yeah. In Britain, a wife beater is Stella Artois, the beer.
what?
Why?
I have absolutely no
It
idea.
doesn't make
but
any
that's what-
sense at
that's
all.
Is it
That's
because
what Wiktionary.
is it because people who wear white beaters drink beer? Is that why?
I mean, it's probably because people who are alcoholics beat their wives. That makes more sense to call
No.
Well,
a
then
Why
Why would
Stella
you-
Artois?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Why are they
exactly.
singling? I would, if I were Stella Artois, if I were like the PR team, I would not be happy with my an entire country associating my brand with abuse.
That's true. I don't think I answered.
Yeah, you didn't
Mine
give
yet.
us a T-shirt saying.
Ah,
So in fourth, I think, or fifth grade, I made a T-shirt, and I wrote down "die," using those, I don't know what it's called, but like paste or something like that in front of the shirt because I thought I was a cool and edgy kid. And my elementary school teacher came up to me and said, like, that's inappropriate, and kind of like dark and edgy, so can you change it? And I'm like, okay, because I'm a good little boy. And I changed to Diet Coca-Cola. That's it.
that's a good save.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it is
mean,
a good save. Yeah, I was proud of it.
I'm sure there's. I don't know what else you could have changed die to. Die.
Just
Yeah.
diet, I guess.
Yeah.
Diet.
I don't know
You could've
why
read,
I
like-
had to add Coca-Cola, but I,
My
I don't
mom
know
put
if
me
I've
on
ever
a
heard-
diet.
I don't know if I've ever heard someone say Diet Coca-Cola before.
Yeah, also that. It's just Diet Coke.
Everyone,
Coke,
yeah, everyone just says Diet Coke.
That
But
is true.
okay, back to Stella Artois. So in Britain, they started calling it the wife beater because of its high alcohol content and perceived connection with aggression and binge drinking in Britain.
Wow,
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes
so it is a terrible. It's
And,
just like a
yeah,
bad.
This article it's in the Independent, and it's lobbying company tried to wipe out quote wife beater end quote beer references
How are they going to wipe
on
it out?
Wikipedia. So on Stella
Wikipedia?
Artois' Wikipedia page, it said, in Britain, people call Stella Artois a wife beater, and an international lobbying company hired an army of Wikipedia editors to continuously remove that reference from the Wikipedia page.
That's never gonna work. Anytime companies or anybody tries to get rid of something in the internet, it's just recipe for disaster. You need to be anonymous if you're going to do that.
Yeah, but like if one person just did that, like removed it, it would be like whatever. But like once the company
Yeah, it
gets
gets involved. Exactly.
then you're just cementing it when they find out that you're extremely bothered by it. It's like getting
Yeah.
bullied, you know? If you're getting
Mhm.
bullied and you have like a huge reaction to it, you're going to keep getting bullied. But if you just don't care, you're less likely to get bullied. Isn't that like the rule of bullying? That's what I was always told. Just like play dead. Or just
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Don't
Well,
like react. Just be like,
don't
aha,
play
that's
dead.
funny.
Mhm.
don't play that.
If
You
you're
know the
like,
advice, like
that's mean, don't do that, then you're just going to
Yeah.
get bullied forever.
yeah, I just want to bully that person more. You know
Yeah.
this saying, thank your bullies and they will stop.
Mhm.
I don't know that saying.
Yeah, I don't either. I
Oh,
thought you
okay.
say thank your bullies for making you a tougher person.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm not gonna lie.
You're going to get, Celio's going to get punched in the face and thank his
Thank
bully.
you.
Thank
No,
you.
Thank
no,
you, good sir.
I don't know where I heard it from. I thought it was like a common saying, like, you know, if you want bullying to stop, you gotta thank your bullies or like act like you're not bothered by it.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, those are
thanking them is
different. Yeah.
very different.
Right.
I would keep, like, I feel like you would keep getting bullied if you were thanking someone for bullying you because that would just be infuriating. If you were like trying to rile someone up and they would like, really, thank you for pointing that out. I
Really?
really
Wouldn't you be like
appreciate.
creeped out?
Thank
Like
you,
No,
sir.
I would just be like, I would be more angry.
one of those like masochists, like, oh my god, thank you so much.
Hey, you're a big old fart mouth. Thank you, sir, for letting me know that I'm a fart mouth.
Yeah.
I appreciate
feel
your constructive criticism.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like troll them even more if they did that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we're ready to move on, I had two topics here and we can decide which one we want to do first. I had contextualizing 2020 and advice to your former self. And
You know, I'm
the
if
latter
I'm being
is
honest,
pretty
I don't know
clear.
what.
But
Right.
the first one, contextualizing 2020, what I meant is like, you know, everyone is saying 2020 is the worst year, you know, but for me, what does that really mean? Or like if 2020 is actually the worst year, is that
It's
is
pretty
that
up there. I'm
good
not gonna lie.
or is that bad?
Well,
You know what I mean?
so if it's the worst year of my life, then that's a good thing.
Exactly.
And like because I mean unless all years from now are only slightly less bad. But
Yeah, I mean, it depends
I
on the
think
mindset, I guess.
but definitely I think the prevailing view is that things can get worse,
Yeah.
but so far, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I really, like this whole meme of 2020 this year is most just like millennials and Gen Z, like, I mean, and like even the boomers like didn't World War II or any of that shit. So like
Yeah.
even the worst years in like the late 20th were not that bad.
That's what
That is
that's
true.
what I'm thinking about, like how bad is 2020 going to historically actually be so bad? You know, I don't like I'm not old enough to know if 2008 was as bad or worse or not as bad as 2020, and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
I
will
think it
this
was.
be the year where in 30 years we're telling our kids, like, you didn't have to live in 2020? You've never.
I mean, I think probably just because of the pandemic, like people definitely talk about it
Yeah.
because like you know, it's like a once a century event. Hopefully,
Yeah.
like I mean, I imagine like 1918 with like World War I going on.
Yeah.
You know, and a pandemic
Yeah.
ravaging the entire world. Probably a worse year.
I think you made an important distinction, which is that I kind of thought about, which is, the worst year, that doesn't really mean anything. Like, if this is the worst year of our lives, that's amazing. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, this year has obviously sucked, but it's not, we're all safe. We're all
Yeah.
pretty
It has
employed
definitely sucked a lot more for like other people.
exactly,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like if we're contextualizing 2020, you can't think about like your own perspective, but the world's
Yeah.
perspective as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really sucks for like certain groups of people for sure. Those who can't get out and lost their jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
Definitely unemployment is the highest that has ever been, even more so than the Great Depression. So
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering how, because it's really strange now, because now we have so much remote work and we have, I don't know, I just feel like even though on paper we have way more people filing for unemployment than in the Great Depression, I just feel like there's no way that this is anything like that. You know what I mean? I think that
Well,
conditions are probably so much worse for the
I
majority of
don't
people.
know.
And also because that was, we're so much more advanced than we were in
like they didn't
1929.
have, yeah, like they didn't have like welfare or anything really.
Exactly, yeah.
Like you were just completely
True.
screwed if you like. Also, the thing that like in 1918 when there was also like this huge pandemic, right? Like, did people like lose their jobs, or
That's a really good question. I don't
did they
even
just like work through it?
I don't
I
even
think
know
they
if we
worked
were
through it
smart
because
enough to know.
exactly.
Yeah,
No, I mean people knew about like germs and stuff. There are
I
like
guess,
people
yeah.
even wore masks.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I guess they just sucked it up then. There wasn't gonna be like any governmental regulations about, keeping the
yeah,
pandemic in check.
It was
like
probably really hard to do testing and reporting back then as well. It's not like you can Google, oh, how many cases in my state.
yeah. I mean, I don't even know how they tested. Like, could they even test you for the flu in 1918? Probably not.
Yeah, they probably didn't even know how. Don't have like, I don't know, they just have microscopes, I guess, but no.
And like, yeah, and like just people dying, and you're just like, well, I guess they had the flu.
Yeah. Yeah, the number of cases is just the number of extremely dead people or like
Yeah,
close to dying.
uh, it's awful.
Yeah, I don't know. So
I haven't been
2020 is
outside in
like
so many days. And I don't have a car either, so it's even worse for me.
you haven't even been outside?
Barely, dude.
I mean,
Like
I just go outside
the
on
only
purpose. I don't go anywhere. I just walk around outside.
I should do that too. It's been getting cooler and everything, so the weather's not that bad. But the only time I've actually gone outside is to pick up my Chinese food. Right. And I
Yeah.
don't know about you guys, but it makes me irrationally angry if I see people wearing masks the wrong way. Like,
You'd rather just
why?
somebody not wear the mask than like wear it
Exactly.
around their eyes or whatever.
Hmm. No, most people
I would
keep their
rather see
nose
someone
exposed.
not wearing.
You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
leave
I
Well,
their
know what you
nose
mean.
exposed. I'm
I
like,
mean, yeah,
why even wear a
I
mask if you're not gonna wear it correctly? I do understand. Like, I'm pretty sure they mean well, but at the same time, like educate yourself a little bit.
It's
yeah,
like when I'm doing a math problem and I just am trying to copy the steps that I remember, but I don't actually understand the first principles of anything.
Hmm.
That's
mhm.
like that. You're just like, oh, I'm supposed to have a mask on my face,
Yeah,
but I'm not really thinking
exactly.
about what that means or why I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
What does this mask do?
Or I'm sure there are so many
The
people
government
who
told me.
take it off when they're like ordering things in restaurants or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
At the most critical points when you would actually want to have a mask on, they take it off to talk to somebody.
I have found the difficulty with me is that when I want to, I always want to take mask off, you know, because like if you sneeze the mask,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it gets like so
Well, that makes a
and
But
lot
the
of
it's
point
like
of the
sense. Yeah.
mask is that if you sneeze air or cough, it blocks the particles. People literally pull down their mask to sneeze or cough. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Like I get it. You shouldn't do it, but I get it for sneezing. But coughing, if anyone pulls down their mask to cough, I don't know what to tell you about that.
that's
What's
like
the
get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, like
It's a maybe yeah. My spit got stuck in the throat. It's not a real cough.
what did you say, Eggs?
Sneezing is just as bad.
She
What the
says
fuck is going on?
sneezing is just as bad as coughing.
I don't think so. I think it's only transmissible by coughing.
I
If
think
I'm not
sneezing
wrong.
might actually even be worse because sneezing has way
Yeah,
more like
sneezing.
stuff in it.
The thing is, though, is that sneezing is a symptom.
Oh, that's true.
You know, so like if you don't have any of the symptoms, and these would be less worried than someone who like has the symptom cough their mask off. You know.
Yeah.
You're breaking off a little bit.
Oh.
Or is it? Oop.
It's
All
either
right.
I don't know if it's your internet or your like sensitivity. If you just like swallow the mic, you know, if you just like put the whole mic,
Okay.
I just want to I want to hear like the reverberation of your vocal cords directly.
Okay. Is this better?
That is much better.
In
Thank
ways, yes. In ways, no.
you. Why don't we move on to a different topic?
Yeah, so advice to your formal self, I think, is pretty,
Self-explanatory.
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my god, dude. I mean, I don't feel like I am qualified to give advice to my former self.
What?
What do you mean?
Like, because I feel like if I want to give an advice to someone, I need to be qualified to give an advice, if you know what I mean. And right now, I don't feel like I'm qualified.
Even to like your but you already, I mean, it depends, but you already know what happens to your past self or like you
Right.
know
I
the
mean, there are
outcome
things
of
that I
what you did.
regret that yeah. I guess then,
Would you just recommend do everything exactly as you would do? Cryptic
But the
advice
thing
from the
is,
future.
I would definitely say no. Maybe be more opportunistic and make some connections or whatever. However, at the same time, like I don't know the path to success even now. If I turn back time, right, with all my memories intact, I would definitely choose to go a different route to try to better myself. But at the same time, I don't know if the different route is correct.
So you would take more risks?
Yeah, definitely it would take more. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Like, it's not like I didn't take risks. It's just that some of the risks that I took didn't get me far, or some of the things that uh, I didn't do also didn't get me far. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of. But what
Yeah.
would you like? What would you do that's more risky?
I guess do something like more enjoyable, but less. That might be less successful career wise. You know what I mean? Maybe take
Right.
up music or take up art or um,
Interesting.
things like that. Yeah. Because I feel like, as you grow older and things like that, you want to have a hobby that you really enjoy. Um, Even though it's
Well,
not
yeah.
Yeah, are we talking about hobby or are we talking about your like career path?
like hobby turning into a career path. Because
Oh.
like, first, yeah, it'll be the best thing ever if your hobby becomes your career and it's relatively successful. And I'm sure you can attest to that, Restless Modern.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but I feel like, well, not always actually. That you have to have some level of like intentionality, probably.
Mhm.
Like if you just like knitting and you just do it sometimes, like it's unlikely that that's somehow gonna become your career. But like So
Yeah.
is your issue that you don't have hobbies, or is your issue that your career is boring?
I don't have a hobby that I'm very skilled at.
Okay. So like a
Like
hobby you
I
could
would,
actually get good at, or like
yeah, exactly. And if I started when I was in college or even younger, like even though that might not necessarily be a career that I make money from, but at the same time, like it's something that I can be proud of and keep working towards, and maybe even earn side income. Who knows? Like I wish if I had to tell my former self, if I have to give an advice, I would say, hey, pick up a hobby that you really enjoy and stick with it.
Yeah, I
that's good
think
advice.
that's definitely good advice.
All right.
But I think also though, like you need, I think for a lot of people, like their hobby becoming their career would like ruin
That's
their
also
hobby for
true.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would happen to me. Like once, because like once something becomes something that you like have to do, you know, like it has to be something that you really enjoy, or else like you will probably get tired of it and it'll become a pain.
But is
Yeah.
it like worse than the alternative? For example, if you get a job that's like nowhere near what your hobby is, would you be more happy because now your hobby is more enjoyable? I don't necessarily think
I
so.
think it depends how ambitious you are and how much you care about. Like if you're, if you want to become a professional League of Legends player,
Hmm.
you're never going to be content with doing your normal job and then playing an hour a day of League of Legends. But if you just enjoy it and you aren't so driven by it that it bothers you, you know what I mean? Like for me, if I had a 9 to 5, I would probably just try and quit music because I would just feel bad. I would never be able to be happy like half doing it, or just, you know what I mean? I would feel like it's not fun anymore. And it's also not fun when it's your job. Like parts of it are still fun, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of, it's not just, oh, whenever I feel like it, I can do the thing that I like. It's like, oh,
Mm.
fuck, okay, I have to do this no matter what. But I think I wouldn't want to, it would just remind me that I didn't try and do it as well as I could if I was doing it partially. But I think a lot of people, that's not true. So, like, if it's not true for you, then it's probably better to just, do it when you like to do it and just get enjoyment from it.
Hmm.
I see your point, but if we look at the alternative, I doubt your statement because many people hobby is something that they want to do to de-stress and things like that, because of work is like probably the number one stress for most Americans,
That's
at
probably
least
true, yeah.
I believe. Yeah. How if your hobby becomes your work, however, I think that stress will go significantly down. You won't enjoy your hobby as much as you used to, but it is better than the alternative. And if your hobby becomes your work, you will become good at it as you keep doing it and more, and maybe pick up a new hobby on the side. And like your overall enjoyment, your day to day life enjoyment will go up.
I'm not sure if I agree or I think I might both agree and disagree with you depending on the situation and
Right.
depending on like having a hobby, trying to make your career out of being a YouTuber or doing music or something like that versus, if you really love sports casting or if you really love like derivatives. I don't know. You know what I mean? Some things are way less stressful to try and like pivot into a career. But I think that depending on what that thing is and who you are, it can become way more stressful, especially in the short term.
Yeah.
I think in the
Yeah,
long
maybe
term,
it
like
depends on the hobby as
if you
well.
succeed and you end up like being able to do your hobby as a career and like it's stable and then in the long term, I agree with you. But I think it's very hard to get there depending on what your hobby might be.
Yeah, like there aren't many hobbies that for most people can also translate into like stable careers. Like
That's so
if
true.
I love
Yeah.
if I love sumo wrestling, I really want to be a sumo wrestler. Like there are people who work from the time they're like 4 years old until
Exactly.
they're like adults
Okay,
to
fine.
be sumo wrestlers, and they work like 20 hours a day, just
That's
like
the other thing is like,
exercising and eating like 10,000 calories.
because how much are hobbies determined by things that are not work? You know what I mean? Like, nobody has a hobby, or like most people don't have a hobby for Excel sheets or for like, and I wonder
Mhm.
if that's because those things are work. You know what I mean? And the things that are hobbies are things that are fun, and thus the competition to be one of the few people who does that is so high because
Yeah.
everybody would, everyone wants to be like a professional fisher or whatever instead
Word.
of like selling Fritos to like, yeah.
Dude, selling Fritos is a pretty dope hobby, dude.
I wonder how many people, I'm sure there's research on this. I wonder how many people would say they're like satisfied with their job. I've absolutely no idea what that number would be. Percentage of people who are like extremely satisfied with their career.
I
I think
think,
it'll be near 0%.
yeah, I think it would be
Really?
really
Yeah.
just because in the United States, at least, like the entire culture is based around like rising through the ranks of like whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
So like basically, if you're not doing that, you're like seen as like kind of a failure. And like if you're an ambitious person, I mean, I guess there are people who are less ambitious and like are just fine doing their job, but like extremely satisfied with their job. I think there are a fair amount of people who are satisfied with their job, but just because they're not ambitious.
Yeah.
But like the
I
ambitious
think it
people
depends
are
what we
the ones who would
mean.
say, yeah, like if they became CEO of their company, then they would be like, yes, now I am extremely satisfied with my job.
Yeah. So on Pew Research, for the question or for percentage of employed adults saying that they are very satisfied with their current job is actually way higher than I thought. So overall, it's 49% of employed adults say they are very satisfied with their current job.
Are you serious?
59% of people who make over $75,000, 45 who make between 30 and 75, and 39 who make under 30. So
Wow.
even people who make under 30,000, 39%, according to Pew Research, said that they were very satisfied with their current job.
Interesting.
But the question is, what does that mean? That doesn't
Yeah, like
necessarily mean what we're talking about.
is the question just I am very satisfied
I
with
think
like
the question is like,
'cause
mark how satisfied you are on a scale of very unsatisfied to very satisfied.
But is it about, the job
that's
or
really
just like life?
No,
Can
the
you
job
also specific?
specifically.
Oh yeah, that's
under
what I asked.
under 30,000 is like basically minimum wage.
Yeah.
And like
Only
how many
9% say somewhat dissatisfied and 6% very dissatisfied. So 15% are marked as dissatisfied.
Does that
it
mean
might,
I should change my job because I'm so much
yeah,
/ very dissatisfied?
I think that probably the reason that those statistics are the way that they are is that over time you like just by entropy like bouncing around in jobs like when you're young you like find something that you're satisfied doing, and like the majority or like a large portion of the workforce is like older people.
Right.
So I think that it's probably older people in general are more satisfied with their jobs because they have had time to like find one that they enjoy even if it doesn't make that much money.
I completely agree. And I think that also people over time will maybe not rationalize, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean? If I've been working at a company for 25 years, I'm going to say that I'm satisfied with it because otherwise I'm not going to say that I've just been living a terrible life for 20 years doing something that I hate, because that's not like you have to resolve that like cognitive dissonance. You have to come to like enjoy your job and like find purpose in it. Otherwise, you're gonna be so unhappy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely true.
So like I think
Like,
like if I was doing mortgages or something, I feel like after 15 years of doing mortgages, I would I would have to come to like it or like something about it. Otherwise, I will have just like gone insane.
yeah, definitely.
I would also be interested
Like,
to see the numbers for young people, like you're saying.
True.
because I think once you're at the point where you can no longer change your career like reasonably,
Yeah.
like you just become satisfied with whatever like because satisfied itself, like the word kind of has the connotation of like it's not like you enjoy your job, right? Like it's just that you have come to terms with it. When
Right.
to like say that you're satisfied with something is like, yes, I accept that this is the way that things are,
Yeah, satisfied can mean a lot of different things to people. If they said, "Is this your dream job?" I bet 99% of people would say no.
That's an interesting question.
Maybe
How
not
many
99, but probably at least 95, I would think. Because everyone's dream job is like being the NBA or some shit, right? Like,
yeah.
if you could do literally anything. But this is also really interesting here. I think people are completely wrong about this. And it says that 61% of people do not believe that it's possible for their employer to hire someone outside of the country that could do the job they are currently doing.
Wait, what percent?
61.
Wait, can you repeat these statistics?
So 61% of employed adults think that it is not possible for their employer to hire someone from outside of the country that would be able to do the job they are doing now,
Yeah.
which is
That's
patently
classic.
not true.
I guarantee though that is like the thing that people are thinking exclusively when they hear that question is, well, you couldn't do my job in English.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it could be in English. Yeah, that's actually a fair
could you
point.
bring it? I mean, but
Like does this include Britain and India where like 90, percent of the population speak English?
Yeah, just as outside the country. So yeah, it could be
Yeah.
any country.
So this is like the classic fallacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
mean,
people don't want to
I
feel
think-
like they're replaceable.
yeah. And so they rationalize it by saying like, okay, well, I speak English. Like even if I'm like a grocery,
Yeah.
even if I work in the grocery store, like could someone from, China do my job? Probably not here. Exactly
Yeah,
here
yeah.
because they don't speak the language that you need.
Yeah.
And as a result, like I am therefore like more
Superior.
more
Qualified.
exactly. I'm superior because I speak English and I live somewhere where people speak English.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this one is
Because-
even this one is even worse. 85% of employed people in the United States do not think it is possible for their employer to use technology to replace the job they are doing now. 85%. I guarantee you at least like I think at least like probably a third of jobs can be replaced, right? If you think about like how many people are employed in like warehouses and manufacturing and like
honestly,
think-
unless you're in a creative field, anything is replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
How many? The thing is, it's probably people who work in service
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
like the United States is like a mostly service economy, right?
Yeah.
So like if you, I don't know, even if you're like a waiter or something, like could a robot replace you?
That's true.
Not like well,
Yeah. That's because I think it's also
But-
because people don't know how to really evaluate that question. Because, like, if you're a waiter, you're thinking, they can't build a robot that does what I do. But then
Yeah.
in 10 years, you're like, oh shit, nobody goes to restaurants anymore because the pandemic happened and now everybody orders food instantly to their home and waiters no longer exist except at like
Also, if you
fancy
go to
restaurants.
Japan, there's
Yeah,
not a lot of waiters or waitresses because all you do is get the tickets from the ticket machine and then get the food
exactly.
from
Even
the booth.
like McDonald's just has like a screen now. Like you don't even necessarily need
Yeah, I
to
never
have
talk to
like
people at McDonald's to
people
order.
working at like, the cash register.
It doesn't make
like-
sense because like they're not going to remember when I say like no pickles and like 2 slices of cheese. It's just like it doesn't make sense to have a person doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's weird how you can't ever really predict well. It's like that guy a long time ago who said everything that could be invented has been invented in like 1920. And obviously that's so
Huh.
incredibly dumb, but it's like impossible to think of, like 20 years ago to think that we would just all be ordering food from like apps and that no one would go to restaurants.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But like
so
you wouldn't
true.
think of that as the way that those jobs get automated away. You would think of like other things.
Mhm. Yeah, you would think of like a robot with like wheels.
Yeah, like the Jetsons or whatever.
I remember watching 2001: Space Odyssey, and they didn't know this concept of cell phones. So what they would do is have a robot follow you around, and there's like those phone I don't know what it's called anymore. You know that like old timey phones that you can actually pull with a string cord
Yeah.
attached to it.
The landlines, but like
Yeah,
the
the landlines.
the wired landlines.
That will be attached to the robot as a portable phone.
That's the thing that's so funny is they imagine the robot, but they can't imagine a cell phone.
I mean, I think probably one of the reasons for going for that is like you could have it just be like a block that like the person talks into, but like people would like the masses would be like, what is he doing? Like I don't understand. you know?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Yeah.
It's
So
more
you
relatable.
have to be like, mm-hmm.
You guys didn't answer the question. Advice to former self. I think I'm the only one who actually answered.
Yeah, you're right. My answer is kind of similar, just in the sense of, and I think it tells me something about what my advice to my current self should be, is always just work harder in the sense of like, if I had been, let's say you wanted to learn Chinese. If I had just done an hour a day since 10 years ago of learning Chinese, I would be like extremely fluent in Chinese. You know what I mean? It's just doing a little bit, starting early and doing a little bit each day is so powerful. But then in
Yeah.
10 years, I'm going to be like, now I'm like, I wish I had done that. And then in 10 years, I'm going to be like, fuck, I wish I had like played the guitar for 10 minutes every day or like, but we never actually like do those things, but we just give that advice, because like
Exactly.
Sealio, you should
Because you
today,
can do it right now,
exactly.
but you're not gonna do it. Yeah.
Today you should get a hobby and then work on it, but you're not going to, even though that's exactly the advice that you would have given to yourself. Because now you're like, oh, I'm too old, but you're like 25. Like, it's too
I
late.
honestly think, yeah,
It's too late.
if I got that exact advice from myself, like I wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
So my advice to myself would almost be like literally like take things easier, like I did not have to work as hard as I did probably to
Yeah.
end up like where I am.
That is true too.
I would have given myself that advice actually 100%.
Yeah.
I did not like take
Sealio.
advantage of
Oh
my
my
life.
god! I went to one of the America's greatest engineering school. All right, I'm making my self sad right now.
It's like I did, put so much time
Got
into
good
things that
grades, too.
didn't end up mattering at
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
Took it way too far way too seriously, and it would have just like, and then you can't get years back that you spent, it has to be important if you're really like taking it that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
that's like the thing is, life is not like Sims, because you might be like, my advice is to work out every single day, but it's so hard to actually do that. You can't just schedule yourself to work out and then watch your sim like lift some weights. You have to
yeah.
actually do it. I wish I could just be like, okay, work for like 12 hours and then just like
Mm-hmm.
do it, but the whole time you're like, oh my god, like I have to do this for 8 more hours.
So like, and I think it's one of those things where like at the time, everything seems more like pressing than it actually is, you know?
Yeah.
So like you can realistically like a lot of the time, at least I found like I could realistically have taken things easier, and like especially when it comes to like academic stuff, like it's better to like sleep and like relax and
Yeah.
do stuff like that as opposed to just like pounding your brains out on something for like 18 hours a day.
And I completely
Like,
think that, there's so much diminishing returns. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
if I had studied for 6 hours instead of 20 hours, I probably would have done almost as well. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like there's just a point where it's better to enjoy your life. And
Yeah,
that's like,
I agree.
I read, it was kind of a dumb book, because sometimes I read books where the principle of the book is just so obvious, but you just read it anyway. It was called
Uh-huh.
Essentialism, and basically the entire book can be summarized as only do things that are essential. Like,
Yeah.
don't, if you have 8 hours, just spend 2 hours doing the thing that actually is going to make a difference, and don't fuck around with the other things that, the 80/20, the 20 of the 80/20. But, like, it's very hard to implement that. But if you do that, you can actually take things easier and still, like, get the same results or
Wait,
close.
I don't agree with that. Only do things that are essential.
So this is the power law, Celio. So like basically in almost anything, there's like an 80 and a 20. So
Yeah.
particularly in like business, 20% of your efforts bring 80% of your results. But really that's sort of in anything. If you think about, even if you think about, let's say you're a YouTuber, right? YouTubers do a ton of bullshit, from PR to making videos to whatever. But in reality, the single thing that gives them 95% of their return is just uploading videos. And if someone said, fuck it, I'm going to literally do nothing except just upload my weekly videos and do absolutely nothing else, it wouldn't like change their position nearly as much as you think it might. So
Mm,
if you look at anything you're doing, usually you can find like, okay, there's a few activities that are, not to say that the other things are not helping you, but there's a couple things that are getting you like 90% of the way there. And you could, if you wanted, stop doing it's just like studying too, to get the last 10% takes a lot longer than to get the first 50%.
gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. I thought when you said like do only things that are essential, only do things that are actually essential. If you know what I mean. Like don't play video games if you enjoy playing video games, or don't. Yeah. So
I
I
mean,
took it.
that's essential to me. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
never relaxed, I would be missing like an essential piece of my like sanity or my like life.
Hmm.
I couldn't remove relaxing and say that I'm doing everything essential, or like sleeping. If you sleeping is extremely
Sleeping
essential,
isn't. Yeah, exactly.
but it's not productive. But it's I guess it's productive in the sense where if you like you'll get way better returns if you sleep 8 hours every day versus working 2 more hours and then sleeping 6 hours, probably in the long term.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean we can cut it there, to be honest. That's about an hour.
Awesome.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
let's cut
good.
it right now.
We
I
hope
think.
that you're all satisfied with your employment. We hope, first of all, okay, we can all talk all day about being satisfied with your employment, but first of all, we hope that you have employment so that you can eat food and live in a house. And then if you're lucky enough to have that, then we hope that you enjoy crunching your numbers or whatever it is that you're doing.
And that you have enough money to subscribe to us on Patreon.
Exactly. Yeah, I know
know
that
what?
you guys all have
Actually-
careers. So $5. That's like the Twitch streamer who
If the
got.
money is tight, you guys don't have to subscribe. Don't listen to these two.
No. Dude, did you guys remember the Twitch streamer who got flamed because she was saying, everybody has $5? Okay, every single one of you has $5. You can't tell me that you don't have $5 lying around. So that's what I'm saying to you, WUUA TIB audience. All right, I know that even the poorest among you has an iPhone. All right, so put that $5 up on Patreon. It's worth it. Don't worry about feeding your family.
All right, signing off. Bye,
Signing
guys.
off.